Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of NASCAR 06 Total Team Control. And today we are Cup Series racing on our custom schedule season at the Daytona International Speedway for the running of the Daytona 400. A 400-mile, 160-lap race for the second time at Daytona and the third overall race here on our custom schedule season, and the final one of which. This is going to be an interesting one. Of course, we come into this race today in a fairly deep points deficit, considering the fact that we only have 7 races to go, 6 after today. So we'll see who's going to end up winning this one. It is nearly a must-win situation at Daytona. And of course, as the thumbnail states, I have not won at Daytona on a NASCAR EA Sports video game. This is attempt number 15 in the Cup Series specifically. We have won one Busch race. No Truck Series wins and no Cup Series wins, and we've had a lot more Cup Series races than Truck Series races at Daytona. Again, this is the 5th time, so the 15th time, and it's the 5th time on NASCAR 06, and it's also the final time on NASCAR 06 to try to get the win at Daytona. We'll see if we can do it. We have a lot of pressure on ourselves today to perform, as we're about 200 points out of first. We're 4th in the standings. As mentioned, 7 races to go, so time is running out. We'll see if Greg Biffle can come in with a clutch performance. His first 2 races at Daytona this season, he has DNF'd in both, so hoping just to make it to the end of the race today. And it starts with qualifying, as we are about to get into right now. Stress, Wade Selinsky, Matthew Dorda, Bruno, Mark DeMars. I believe that is everybody in the chat so far. Thanks for everybody tuning in. And Greg Biffle out to make his qualifying lap. Might have to make an adjustment change after qualifying, because the car is a little bit on the free side of things to try to qualify up towards the front of the field. We'll see if he can do this. Now remember, way back in the Daytona 500, Greg Biffle actually led the most laps in that race and blew an engine while leading, and then he ended up blowing an engine in the Pepsi 400 at Daytona in the middle of the season as well. That wasn't while leading, and that was even earlier in the race where he blew that engine. When he was leading in the Daytona 500, he was leading the race at the time, and there was only about 80 laps to go, so that stung quite a bit, honestly. That was one of our best shots to win a Cup race at Daytona, let alone the 500 as well. And we'll see what will happen today. Blood, thanks for tuning in also. This is going to be a stressful 400-mile race. And I say stressful because, again, we have not won, and there's a lot on the line. We have to lead as many laps as I possibly can. We just got to hope everybody can race clean and Biffle can stay out of trouble. Just ran the Busch Series race at Daytona under the lights, a 100-lap race there earlier in the week. Kyle Busch ended up finishing in 5th. But this race is 60 laps longer than that. So lap 1, he's got 2 laps to try to set the quick time today. Not a great lap so far. Great meaning for the pole. It's good in the sense that he's in the top 10, at least on the tracking list. Maybe slipping a little bit outside of that. We'll have one more lap. 14th fastest on lap 1 with a 48.193. He's got speed going down into turns 1 and 2 at least. Trying not to get that car to wiggle as much as possible. It's going to do that automatically through the bumps at Daytona. Staying hooked to that white line on the back straightaway now. A lot better on lap 2 so far than lap 1. Into turns 3 and 4. This entire lap has been much smoother than the first lap, and it's been quicker after he got up to speed as well. And he is tracking for a top 5 starting spot. I don't know that he's going to get the pole. It's slipping off the exit of turn 4, 48.089. Definitely quicker on lap 2, 10th quickest. Only picked up 4 spots. He lost a lot of ground on the front stretch coming back to the start-finish line. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be on the pole today. He's just outside the top 10 in points, if I'm not mistaken. But he'll try to go for his second win of the season. And we will see how this is going to do. This is going to be interesting. Oh, boy. This is going to be intense. Green flag is in the air. Dale Jr. will lead the field to the green at Daytona. And Greg Biffle quickly going to the outside. Kind of spun his tires on the start. Look at this restart for Greg Biffle. He scraped the wall. That cut a little bit of his get up to speed time down, but he tried to find a hole. He found one. Started 10th, up a couple spots on the first lap. He never hit a car through all that. He did scrape the wall a little bit. Oh, and Kurt Busch trying to block his teammate into turn 3. Biffle's going to lose the bottom now after losing that momentum. Kevin Harvick will get in front of him. 2 spots gained on the opening lap. Jimmy Johnson will lead lap 1. He's still in searching for his first win of the season. Despite the fact he's in the championship hunt, yet 6th in the standings coming into today's race. Harvick running the outside. Biffle going to try to follow him. Johnson break that winless streak to start the season in the 30th race of the season. Biffle has a run on the back straightaway, pulling out of line to make a pass on Kevin Harvick, and he's going to be able to do so successfully. Massive run for Greg Biffle into turn 3, now behind the 40. I almost said David Stremme. That was Sterling Marlin. Marlin in his final year in the 40 car. Coors Machine. Earnhardt about scraped the wall there. Biffle going for another pass down on the bottom of the track. Biffle needs to lead laps today, and he's not wasting any time. Up to 4th. Lifted a little bit, getting into 1. He wasn't sure if Kyle Busch was going to cut down and block him. He still gets to the inside of the 5. Junior down to help the 16. Busch is in the wall off turn 2 a little bit, so Earnhardt and Biffle will clear. And Biffle to the inside of Ryan Newman. Newman tried to crowd. Jimmy Johnson on the outside as well into turn 3. Greg Biffle to the lead from 10th to 1st in less than 3 laps as he clears Johnson in the middle of the corner. What a start for Greg Biffle. Newman to 2nd, following him on the inside. Let's go. We're going for it today, ladies and gentlemen. It's only lap 3. Well, lap 4 now, but let's go. We've got a fast car in the draft. Definitely faster than what we had with Kyle Busch in our Busch race the other night. And quickly now to mirror drive for the first time today. I hope there's not a lot of cautions today. That's what hurts me. Throws the strategy off. Big block to the outside on Ryan Newman. Off the exit of turn 4, Greg Biffle made a massive block that time, but it was a clean one at that. He's got to make sure he doesn't make contact and risk wrecking himself when those blocks take place. Biffle holding on to the lead at the front of the field. At least first few laps. Ryan Newman in the 12. Another run to the outside. Jimmy Johnson in the 48 down on the bottom for right now. He didn't go with Newman, who had a run on the back straightaway, so Biffle's able to hold on to the lead into 3. I didn't make any adjustment changes, by the way, going into this race. Oh, Newman got loose. I think Johnson took the air off the rear spoiler of his car on that left rear corner panel. Johnson to 2nd. Speed run at fastest lap, not while leading. In the draft, we were looking pretty quick, though. Johnson no help. His teammate Kyle Busch went down with the 12 of Newman on the bottom. Newman still got a run on the inside. Biffle way down to the yellow line to block. One car's lost the lead pack on the track map on the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Not sure who it is. Long ways to go still in this one. Alternate through the different camera angles for the first time today. We're just doing this stuff early right now. We'll go through our field passes early in the race as well. Kyle Busch up to 2nd. like he went up high trying to get in front of the 12 of Ryan Newman. That didn't work out for him. Johnson is working with Busch. Kyle Busch still trying to get his first Cup win of the season. Dominated the Busch Series season so far through 19 of 33 races there. Johnson to the inside of Busch. Greg Biffle just going to hold the bottom into the tri-oval. Wasn't as big of a run from the 5 and the 12 on the outside as I thought there was originally. Jimmy Johnson with a run. Pulls up in front of his teammate. Biffle not going to block it. He's got to be smart with his blocks. Well, this is the 15th try. I'm 0 for 14 coming into this at Daytona. Biffle getting a nice little push from Ryan Newman in the 12. It's keeping him in front of the 48. I thought Johnson was going to have a run on the outside again. Now Newman pulls up in front of the 48, but Biffle pulls up in front of the 12. Biffle towards the outside. Couldn't really hold the bottom that time, and I think Newman's going to get by him now. And all clear. Ryan Newman to the lead. Kyle Busch to second. Biffle back to third. And Biffle to the inside of the 5. Lifted to keep it off of him. In the middle of the corner, Kyle Busch right in line behind the 16. Biffle going up to block the 48, trying to keep those Hendrick cars separated from each other. Biffle doesn't have any teammates up towards the front of the field right now. It's pretty much him, and even Fords in general, there is none anywhere to be found. Big run, though, for Greg Biffle getting into turns 1 and 2 right behind the 12 of Ryan Newman as he clears Kyle Busch for second. So the first laps Ryan Newman has led today, by the way. Johnson led the first 2, then Biffle got to the lead, and then Newman just led the last 2 laps, but now it's Greg Biffle dive bombing back to the inside of Ryan Newman on the back straightaway to retake the lead into turn 3. So a few lead changes in the early going of this race today. We'll go to the in-car cam at the start-finish line now. We've got our game face on today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to keep this thing intense all the way through. By that, I mean the racing. Battle like every lap's the last. Just try not to make contact, obviously, so we don't get involved in the big one. Ryan Newman is on the outside, but Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson both going with the 16 on the bottom. That should keep them in front of the 12, which is the case in the middle of the corner. But now the 48 going to the outside with the 12 of Ryan Newman. So Newman is there. Biffle blocking Busch down on the yellow line on the bottom. Biffle leads that lap at the line. Every lap matters as far as the most laps led, especially this late in the season. Never had a Daytona race this late in the season in NASCAR history, so having it here. 3 wide for second as Johnson abandoned the 12, got underneath the 5 with a great run going into the corner. Almost contact between Busch and Newman off of turn 2 as well. Busch still in the middle as Edwards down on the bottom after the 48 cleared. Biffle blocks the 48 and Jimmy Johnson on the outside lane again, and now heading into turn 3 they go. And Carl Edwards, of course, teammate of Greg Biffle, but also battling for the championship, comes in as the points leader, so we definitely don't want Carl Edwards to lead today at all costs. Jimmy Johnson on the outside into turn 3. Greg Biffle still down on the bottom. Got the Roush and the Hendrick car split up. The 5 and the 16 down low. The 99 and the 48 up high. But the 99's the second car in line right now behind Jimmy Johnson. Busch trying to make a run at the 16. They're not staying as well organized compared to the outside lane. Looks like Biffle's going to be clear of both lanes into turn 3 again. Ryan Newman pulling out of line. He's not behind the 5, and I think Kyle Busch went up to block the 48 of Johnson in the tri-oval. Another lap led in the early going. I think Biffle's led all but 4 laps of the first 13 that have been completed. Busch back to the bottom. He's trying to build up a run right in line behind the 16. Greg Biffle still doing a great job at the front of the field, holding on to the race lead. Johnson is up there on the outside. Biffle moves away. And all clear into turn 3 again as Johnson lost his momentum. Johnson was hanging on the outside of Greg Biffle for a while. It was a nice little drag race they had going on there. Biffle keeping his car pinned to the bottom. Case 48 still has a run up high. And we'll go to the hood cam next. Definitely hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button if you haven't already today as well. Big lead for Biffle into turn 1. Maybe a little too big. Kyle Busch trying to make a run at him. To the outside goes the 5. Biffle just going to protect the bottom. He's fine with blocking the outside if they have too big of a run. He doesn't want to get cleared like Newman was able to get by him earlier, but that was also on the bottom. Kyle Busch got back around him, but luckily Biffle was able to get to the lead pretty quickly again after Newman had taken that lead. Caution free through 15 laps as they approach the start-finish line once again. Kyle Busch drops in line behind the 12, and Kevin Harvick. Mr. Where did he come from now inside the top 3 for the first time? Edwards looking to take it 3 wide to the inside. Newman up on the top. Johnson thought about going with and thought better of it. 3 wide for 3rd as Harvick's cleared for 2nd. And trying to control all 3 lanes off the exit of the corner. Busch slides up in front of Newman. Biffle up in front of Harvick. Harvick down low to block Carl Edwards, trying to split apart the Roush Fenway Fords. Edwards looking low. Biffle does not want Edwards to lead a lap. Ken Edwards is the points leader. And Biffle's down by almost 200. It's over a full race worth of points out of first. And only the top 2 are within 1 race worth of points of each other. Kurt Busch just a couple spots ahead of Biffle. Biffle getting a little arrow loose off the exit of turn 2. With Edwards behind him, hangs onto the car, never lifted. Johnson's got to run to the inside. Biffle down low to protect. 99, not as much of a run up high, so Biffle's able to keep the car down on the bottom into 3. Right in front of the 48 again. Go back to the far chase cam once we get to the start-finish line the following time. Oh, trouble off of turn 4. Tony Stewart about got hooked. We stay green. No caution. Sadler to 2nd as he gets by the 48. And everybody from 5th on back just got wadded up off turn 4. Tony Stewart, I don't know if he tried to slide up into the outside and clip the car up there, or maybe he got help. But that caused a major stack up, and now we have a 4-car breakaway, and 3 of these 4 are in the top 4 in points, including the 2 points leaders of Sadler and Edwards. Sadler, another driver Biffle does not want to have a lap led. He's okay with Johnson leading a lap to a certain extent, which he already has, just because Biffle's already ahead of him in points, and he's trying to play catch-up with the guys ahead of him. Really doesn't want the 38 or the 99 to lead at all costs. We'll go back to the far chase cam for now. And we'll actually take our first field swap when we get to the start-finish line this time by as well. Biffle couldn't get his car to turn very well on corner entry, but gets to the bottom in time. The runs aren't going to be as big with just 4 cars in this lead pack now after that breakaway. Halfway out of fuel at this point in the run. Biffle hasn't been able to draft a whole lot in this one. It's hard to believe he even started 10th, how quickly he got to the lead in just 3 laps. Didn't have as good of a single car speed necessarily in qualifying, but he had a great car in the draft. He was set up for the race, and he was going for it early. we will transfer to the 17 of Matt Kenseth. He'll be the first Roush Fenway Ford we will drive as. He is back in 22nd right now at lap 20. Just trying to catch up to Jeff Burton. And the car on the outside of Burton, who I believe is Casey Kane. It is. It's hard to tell Casey Kane and Jeremy Mayfield apart when they run the same Dodge paint schemes. Kenseth is burping the throttle on the straightaway. He didn't want to pass Jeff Burton. He wanted to fall in line behind his former teammate. Burton working that bottom lane, which is good for Kenseth. Trouble, car in the wall, off turn 4. Jeff Gordon causing a stack up there for a second. No caution again. And now they're 3 wide in the tri-oval. Kenseth's in the middle. Casey Kane gets hit. That was in the aftermath of everybody already going a little slow and stacked up. It looked like Gordon got loose off turn 4 and slapped the wall. He's also one of the championship contenders, 5th in the standings coming into the race with a few wins. Big run for Kenseth into 3s. He gets by Kenny Walls for 19th. A little loose down on the bottom. He was just trying to keep it off that yellow line. Doesn't want to spin out. If he clips just below that yellow line, you will spin out here at Daytona, very similar to Charlotte. We saw what happened with Kyle Busch in that race yesterday. Kenseth with a little bump draft to the 24. Biffle continues to lead at the front of the field. 24 to the inside of the 88. 17 still to follow. Gave him a push into the corner. They're both into the wall. Gordon and Jarrett get together there. Well, Jeff Gordon did not handle the push very well into turn 1. And was probably more on Kenseth considering the fact that they were so far into the corner before he gave Gordon that bump draft. And Gordon, again, did not handle it well at all there. Pandemonium all the way through this field right now. Luckily, Greg Biffle's keeping it clean at the front. One more lap with Kenseth, and then we will transfer to... We'll go to Carl Edwards in the 99 car next. Just to see exactly where he's at. Heather Herman, thanks for tuning in. Kenseth's going to stay in front of Kenny Wallace just a little bit longer. Biffle continues to lead. It's a Carl Edwards we go. Still in that lead pack, but he cycled backwards to 4th now. We're just going to keep him in 4th. Behind Jimmy Johnson. I don't want to sabotage Edwards necessarily here, but by just losing the draft, it'd be kind of a cheap way to have Biffle try to catch him in points. R6, welcome into the stream also. Johnson running the outside anyway, so the 99 to 48 are going to lose a 16 into the 38. Up at the front of the field the way things are looking right now. I haven't checked my fantasy football score yet at all this weekend, so I don't even know. I'm 4-8 anyway. I wasn't going into this week at least. Maybe I won. I was 10th. I'm only like 2 games out of 7th. I could finish probably mid-pack, but I'm not going to get a top 4 spot, which is going to give me a first-round bye in our playoff draft. So, I mean, I can still fight for every position because that's just going to help me in our draft because we redraft in the playoffs. Our regular season prize is something completely different. That's like the overall championship, but we pay for our transactions, so all that transactional pay, waiver wire adding and dropping players at the end of the week, and trades and stuff like that. That's all for a separate draft. So at least it keeps people that are at the bottom to, still keep an eye on their team to a certain extent, because you don't want to have the last pick in the playoffs. I mean, it's a snake draft, so like there's benefit to being at the back, but at the same time, because we don't know exactly who's going to make the playoffs. There isn't really a large, draft pool. I mean, you got to figure there's only going to be like 14 teams left at that time, so it's going to be very difficult to pick from players. Because once you get through the first couple rounds, it's going to be tough, so you want to be towards the top of the drafting board. Good possibility you can maybe have 5 or 6 good guys versus at the bottom you're going to have, probably 3 or 4. Elliott Sadler has just taken the lead away from Greg Biffle at the front of the field. First time Sadler has led today. At least Carl Edwards has not led. Our 4th different leader of this race now. Sadler looking like he's going to want to try to pull away here. We will transfer to either Mark Martin or Kurt Busch next when we get to the start-finish line. Probably going to lean towards Martin. Yeah, we'll go to Mark Martin next. To the 6 we go. Oh, we got a little loose off turn 4. That was a bad time for him to get loose. Kept it off the wall, luckily. Brian Vickers in the 25 with a run now to the outside. And Martin slides up right in front of Jeremy Mayfield. Vickers running the top. And at the end of lap 32, we'll transfer then to Kurt Busch. Contact, we've got trouble. Jeremy Mayfield and Mark Martin get together off turn 2. And we have our first caution of the race. Mayfield goes for a spin. Not much damage on either car. Down into the grass went Mayfield, but kept it off the inside wall, way down at the bottom of the track. Took 29 laps, but we have our first caution tonight at Daytona. Martin going to have to go to the tail end of the field now, unfortunately, and I would imagine the entire field's going to pit here for 4 tires and fuel. And that will be the case. So maybe Martin won't go to the back, but he will not be able to take fuel or tires, being involved in that accident. Tough break for Mark. I couldn't tell if I moved down and clipped him, or if maybe he slid up. It was tough to tell. It happened really quick. Gonna go back and look at it. Definitely had a run to the inside. Martin was trying to drop behind Vickers. Yeah, It was a little bit of both. Martin's going to restart the lead. Kenseth's going to be in second right behind him. Green flag back in the air at Daytona. I was trying to get the chat back on my screen. Didn't take off well there. Hopefully Martin's the leader. Harvick quickly got around Kenseth. Kenseth pulled out of line a bit too early. Greg Biffle's still up there. Sadler's cycled way back. Martin trouting Harvick. Matt Kenseth with a run to the outside. He'll be looking for the lead. Martin slides up right in front of Dale Jr. Martin on much older tires than everybody else. Obviously still the same tires he had at the start of the race. He'll have to make an unscheduled stop eventually. Biffle lost a couple spots. He's in 5th right now. Martin's got... Man, he is lucky he cleared Kenseth because his car got really tight going into turn 1 with the run. He didn't lift either, but he did clear the 17 before his car had slid up the track. So we will transfer to Kurt Busch. Once we get to the start-finish line, we'll run 2 more laps with Martin, then we'll swap to Busch. Yeah, I see Biffle back there. He's still in 5th. He's on the inside as he clears Dale Jr. off of turn 4. Big run for Dale Jarrett on the outside. A lot of Fords inside the top 10 all of a sudden. We didn't see many of them early in the race, but we do now. Biffle trying to make his way around Kenseth. Matt Kenseth's crew had a great pit stop. They were outside the top 10, and he came out in 2nd. Obviously, Martin took no tires. Couldn't take fuel or tires under the pit stop, being involved in the accident with Mayfield. So everybody on the same strategy as of right now. I think it's going to be a 3-stop race today. Somebody mentioned 4, but I'm thinking it's going to be 3. When that caution came out, everybody pitted a little bit earlier than what we were expecting, considering the yellow was at lap 29. Biffle going up the track, trying to side draft that car on his inside. 3 wide for about 4th place with Jarrett down on the bottom. I think Kurt Busch might be one of those cars up there. There's a couple blue cars. One of them's Biffle. Unless Jimmy Johnson's one of them. He's been up towards the front most of this race. Martin going to have to pit here very soon. Martin with 3 wins on the season. In fact, just won the most recent race at the Phoenix Roval on a last lap pass on Kevin Harvick in the 29. So Kurt Busch on the outside. All of a sudden, all 5 Roush Fenway Fords are towards the front of the field right now. This is a peculiar position. I did not like Busch being here. Thought they were going to be 4 wide for a second. That would not have worked off turn 2. Kurt with the run. And he's lifting. And around goes Kurt Busch. Just gets clobbered by Michael Waltrip. And Ryan Newman cautions out. And another car involved, and that's Kenny Wallace. Our second caution. Too big of a dive there for Kurt Busch going into turn number 3. Too much of the apron. I'm surprised that car stayed on the ground, to be completely honest. Jeff Burton got a piece there also. Roof flaps doing their job. Kenny Wallace got cleaned out. This is big for Mark Martin. Now he can pit under the yellow rather than having to make a green flag stop unscheduled. And Martin stays out. That's interesting. Kurt Busch now going to have to go to the tail end of the field. It's 2 Roush cars that have been involved in an accident. Luckily, Greg Biffle, not one of them, as the big one is out in the first quarter of the race tonight in the Daytona 400. Mr. Clean Crew back on the car once again today as well. Green flag back in the air. So there are already 4 cars out of the race. And Kurt going to have to come from the rear. Kyle Busch has lost a lot of track position at the tail end of the field now as well. I'm sure we're going to see some debris yellows after the big one has come out at about lap 38. Mark Martin continues to lead. I'm surprised Mark Martin did not pit. He's still on the same tires he had at the start of the race. And unfortunately, Kurt Busch, his car doesn't seem to have much speed anymore after that accident. Tried to repair as much damage as he could, but he did not take off well in this restart. He still has Busch behind him, his brother, the younger Busch. Jimmy Spencer trying to block for 37th. Jesus. Kurt got forced below the yellow line there. Trying to wreck us for 37th on lap 42. Shane Meal nearly up against the wall. Kurt's at least fast enough to stay in the draft. Has to lift with the 11 car of Jason Leffler pulling down to block into turn 3. Mark Martin's going to pit now. Shocked he stayed out as long as he did. It's going to give Matt Kenseth the lead. Mark having to make that unscheduled stop. Kurt Busch squeezing his way underneath Leffler. Pass was made. Kurt Busch making some moves. Back inside the top 30 after that wreck. Jeff Gordon has been struggling today. He's been towards the back of the pack this whole race. Vickers back there with him. Busch, not a good day for Hendrick Motorsports outside of Jimmy Johnson. Ariel Diaz, thanks for tuning in. And congrats to Brazil winning their game earlier in the World Cup. I didn't watch it, but had some money on Brazil, though. They were heavy favorites going in. And they did good work. I had a same-game parlay where they had to win both halves. There had to be at least, I think it was 4 scores. They won 4-1, so. Go one more lap with Kurt Busch, and then we'll transfer to Greg Biffle once again after that. And our first field pass will be out of the way today in the first half of the race. 3 wide, not that far up in front of Kurt Busch. Somebody just brushed the wall. Couldn't tell who it was. Might have been Boris Said. Either him or Scott Riggs. And it is Boris Said that did get the wall. Kevin Harvick did the lead at the front of the field. Mark Martin's got nobody to draft with, so he's kind of falling back. Kurt Busch making a run into 3. Last time he tried that, they wrecked. They almost wrecked that time as he just forced his way under Joe Nemechek. No out of bounds Daytona for us today. I usually don't follow the WL line rules in the EA games. Today's no different. We'll go back to Greg Biffle now. He is in 3rd, still up there with the leaders. See Jamie McMurray in the top 5. Bobby Labonte up to 4th. No sign of Carl Edwards after that caution. He's still in the race, obviously, but Biffle backing up to get a big run on his teammate. Matt Kenseth going into turn 3. Pulls out of line well early enough to make that pass for 2nd place. Clears up. Now in line behind the 29 of Harvick. Biffle trying to get back to the lead. He led a lot of laps very early. Still wants to try to lead the most in today's race. Has a run. Goes to the outside. That didn't work out too well. It's going to quickly bog his car down. And Harvick's going to hold on to the lead. Biffle with a move to the bottom now into turn 1. He's underneath. And he is going to clear Kevin Harvick. Barely. Clean pass. Lap 47, the Biff back out in front again at Daytona. As he's done for most of the race so far. Trying to end this long Daytona drought. Kenseth to 2nd as well. It's going to help Biffle out a little bit. Having a teammate right in line behind him again. Alternate through the different camera angles one more time in today's race now. Still well over 100 to go. Long ways from the finish. The Daytona 400. It's not the Pepsi 400 because we ran the Pepsi 400, so that's why I kind of changed the title sponsor. It's not the 500s either, so it's not the crown jewel that we're used to. Biffle hesitated blocking Kevin Harvick, but he was clear. Kevin Harvick down to the bottom to block Bobby Labonte, who's up to third. Kenseth losing ground on the outside. Jamie McMurray to the inside of him for fourth, and somebody trying to help Kenseth out. I can't tell who that is from up here, but they're trying. Trying to get that outside lane moving. No chance for Kevin Harvick to try to take the lead there. Yeah, Russia's a 5-car team. That was before the charter system. Once the charter system came into play, that's when they were only allowed four cars. Well, I mean, Hendrick had 4 cars at the time, too. They had Terry Labonte, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, and Brian Vickers. And even when Terry Labonte left, I can't remember if they had 5 cars or not still. I don't think they did. So I think when Casey Mears came over there, it was during the charter system. I want to say like 2008 was when that rule came into effect. And it looks like Carl Edwards in the 99 was the car that just got in front of Matt Kenseth, so Edwards back to 5th. He lost some ground, both him and Biffle did. But Kenseth was able to gain a lot of spots on pit road. Jamie McMurray going for 2nd. Little Jamie, baby. Felt like saying that. Pull my inner Darrell Waltrip out of me. Murray up to block Bobby Labonte. Highest running Dodge in the field right now is McMurray. Edwards to the inside. He has not led through 50 laps. And we'll try to keep it that way. Don't want Edwards to get any bonus points. Biffle tracking as of right now, he's led the most. And counting. Had a handful of different leaders. Harvick, Kenseth, Martin, Biffle, Johnson have all led. Elliott Sadler led a couple laps. He was actually leading when the caution came out. Biffle was in 2nd. He had just taken the lead. There is a slow car that I heard was coming back onto the track, so we have a car down a cylinder, very similar to the Busch race at Daytona where that was the case. So these guys in front of the field are going to have to get past that car as quickly as they can to not lose the lead pack. Harvick gets into the wall off turn 4. Big run by the Roush cars now of Edwards and Kenseth to the bottom. Biffle blocks Edwards into the tri-oval to keep the 99 in his rearview mirror. Has to go to the outside to keep him as well. And it sounds like there's another car, so now we're going to have 2 cars that are down a cylinder in this race. I didn't hear the number on either one, but 2 cars down a cylinder that are still going to be in this race. Edwards to the outside of Biffle looking for the lead on the back straightaway. And Kenseth's going with the 99. That is not what Biffle wants. He was hoping his teammate would go with him, not his other teammate. And I think Biffle's going to be a sitting duck here unless Kevin Harvick can give him a big push. And Carl Edwards is going to lead his first lap of the race. He's catching Jeff Green. Maybe not. Green slows him up enough. Biffle leads at the line. Green pulls down in front of the 16. Biffle has to go below the yellow line to miss him. And he barely holds on to his car. He was lifting as soon as he went down there and tried not to wreck. So Edwards did not lead, but now Biffle's getting way ahead of the pack, and they're going to have a major run on the 16 here in about a half a lap or so. Well, that wadded him up. There's still 3 wide back there trying to get by Green, who's somewhere in that pack. Holding guys up. About 8 cars maybe made it through. One was a disaster the other day. It potentially costed Biffle with the damage, or Busch I should say, with the damage at the time, a top 10 finish. Bobby Labonte to the inside of Carl Edwards. Biffle just trying to block the run. He wanted to go up to block the 99, but I think the 18 had a little bit more of a run than he did. Elliott Sadler now back inside the top 5 as he got through that mess with Jeff Green back there. Labonte to the outside, Biffle in front of the 18. The 99 trying to get a pull to the bottom, but Labonte with a block on the back straightaway, and Biffle to block the 18 again. Labonte swinging wide into 3. That's halfway through the second fuel run. Everybody pitted during the first caution today. We've had 2 so far, and the big one was the most recent caution involving over a half a dozen cars. No debris caution. Well, hang on. We might have seen a debris caution. I was about to say, I'm surprised we haven't seen one. And right as I was saying that, the caution's out for the 3rd time. And actually, it's another crash. A couple Hendrick cars get together off turn 4. Brian Vickers and Kyle Busch have crashed. One of the generated drivers tried to slide to the inside of him about half speed, and he got clipped too. So 3-car crash, bringing out our 3rd caution of the race. And Greg Biffle's going to pit here, which is going to be interesting to see if anybody else comes in. He's the leader, so it's tough to tell what everybody else is going to do. He'll top off. 4 tires and fuel for the Biff. Really hoping. I can't switch back to the normal cam until the restart. I'm really hoping everybody else came in. I didn't want to stay out and everybody else pit, and then we were going to have to make an unscheduled stop. That's what I was scared of. And it looks like we do have cars pitting, so Biffle not the only one in. The Mr. Clean crew will go to work for the 2nd time this evening. Corey Freet, welcome into the stream. I think those the 2 drivers that are down a cylinder are going to be restarting towards the front of the field. Greg Biffle going to win the race off pit road. Mr. Clean crew will do their job there. Oh boy, yeah, Jeff Green down on the bottom right now. I think the other one might have pulled off the track. And green flag back in the air. Jeff Green getting a good launch. Right in front of the 16. Biffle going to cross him over. He got to the bottom pretty quickly as he had to block Kenseth. And now he'll get around Jeff Green. Kenseth to the inside of the 43 as well. And Carl Edwards in the 99 in 4th. Didn't lose too many spots on that restart. Not worried about blocking the top. Sadler's on the outside right behind Green. He's getting held up. Dale Jr. with a big run to the outside of Matt Kenseth. Edwards trying to go to the bottom. Kenseth blocks his teammate. You got 3 Roush cars on the bottom lane. Dale Jr. on the outside with Harvick and Gordon behind him. Gordon has cycled towards the front of the field for the first time today. Dale Jr. trying to take the lead for the first time as well off turn 4. He's got a great push from Kevin Harvick. At the start-finish line, Dale Jr. will lead, our 7th different leader of the race. Biffle trying to clear the 8. Still door-to-door for the lead. Remember, Jr. qualified on the pole, didn't lead a lap until just now. Oh, Kenseth abandoning his teammate there. Biffle going to go up trying to side draft the 8 just a little bit. Dives off of him into 3. Jr. not chasing the 16 all the way down. Kenseth back down with his teammate again. S8 car is very strong, no surprise. DEI always had great cars. Daytona, Talladega. Kenseth back in line as well. I think he's just trying to control the lanes. Biffle side drafts Earnhardt again. Had to lift going into the corner. Trying to keep it off the 8. Biffle is nearly 3 wide middle. Luckily, he got down to the bottom right in front of the 18 of Bobby Labonte again. Dale Jr. trying to control the pack at Daytona. Biffle's got a big run. Not going to really have anywhere to go with it with Dale Jr. right in front of him into the corner. Biffle still sucking up to the back of the 8. Looks to the inside off turn 4. Trying to go at him for the lead again. Caution is out. I think Dale Jr. had the lead. That was tough to tell. 4th caution of the race. And I believe it was another crash. And this time it's Mike Bliss and Jamie McMurray. 2-car crash off turn 4. They were 3 wide. I think Newman was on the bottom, and 0 just slid up a little too far wide. So 4 cautions already today. Luckily, Biffle hasn't been in any of them. He's kept his car clean. Junior was in the lead when the caution came out. And because everybody just pitted during the caution right before that, I would assume they will all stay out, which is the case. Good news is with all these cautions, Mark Martin should be back on the same strategy again. So good for him. Green flag going to be back in the air again at Daytona. Biffle's going to move to the bottom immediately. Going 3 wide under Dale Jr. and Jeff Green. Great restart for Biffle, and he's back out in front at Daytona into turn 1. It's one way to get around the 8. Still no debris cautions today. Oh, Jeff Green just pulled up right in front of Dale Jr. Bobby Labonte down on the bottom. Matt Kenseth with a big run to the inside. 16 saw it as he tries to block the 18 and the 17. 16, 17, 18. 1, 2, 3 at the front of the field. Jeff Green still wadding up the outside lane. Biffle up to block the 18. Back to the bottom in the middle of the corner. Hard to do that on this bumpy Daytona surface. Kenseth crowds the 18 and now clears him. Carl Edwards still in 4th. Biffle leads that lap at the line. Another lead change. The 8 leading on the restart. We are down to just 96 laps to go at Daytona. Can Greg Biffle break the curse? My curse, personally, not Biffle's curse. Biffle actually does have a win at Daytona at this time in NASCAR. He did in his rookie season. He won the night race in 03. I, on the other hand, have not won at Daytona in an EA Sports game. 0 for 14, and this is our 15th try. Edwards got loose. I don't know if Kenseth maybe got in the back of him there or something. Great job by Edwards keeping it off the wall. We'll go back to alternating through the camera angles. I tried to, but then we had a caution. About 6 more laps of this yet. Dale Jr. with a good push. Dale Jr. is going to be tough to beat today, as usual at Daytona. Kenseth's going to be stuck in the middle, going into the corner. Biffle getting a little tight into 3. Had to lift just to keep it off the wall. He is able to hold on to the lead, though. May give enough of a run, though, for Dale Jr. as he gets to the outside, again trying to get to the lead. Kenseth behind his teammate. Big block to the outside. Biffle barely clears the 8. Committed. Refused to lose. Kenseth got to the outside. Biffle's able to slide up in front of his teammate as Kenseth lets him in. There's been no adjustments to this 16 car all day. He's had great handling. Short run. We haven't gone extremely deep into a run yet. We haven't had to make any green flag pit stops, so they've all been 4-tire stops of the 2 we've had so far. With all the cautions, I think it's going to be a 4-stop race. I was originally thinking to be 3. They've kind of pitted a little earlier with knowing how much tires matter at Daytona. Haven't gone the full run. Black flag for blocking. This isn't Formula 1. You can block in NASCAR. When have you seen a super speedway race where there wasn't blocking? That's what I'd like to know. Dale Jarrett's kind of come and gone through the pack. He hasn't led at all, but he's there. Bonnie a bit wide. 3 wide behind the 18 as he has to block all 3 lanes now. Dale Jr. just going to slide it line behind Dale Jarrett. A couple DJs running back to back. 16 likes on the stream so far. Thank you for everybody hitting that like button. Yesterday's stream, Busch Series, we had 26 likes at the end, so we'll see if we can break that today. Bobby Labonte looking for the lead. It'd be his first of the race, and he'd be the 8th different leader. Biffle side drafting the 18 right now, and then sending it off into turn 3. Dale Jr. somehow got cleared by the 8 of Dale Jr. Labonte will lead this lap at the start-finish line. Biffle staying on the bottom, the 18 down low, trying to block Greg Biffle. Biffle down to the yellow line. Stays above it by the time he gets into 1. What a pass by Greg Biffle as he gets back around Bobby Labonte and now blocks the inside. It was a tight squeeze. Stayed in the gas, cleared him in the middle of the corner, and holds on to the lead on the back straight. Some good racing tonight at Daytona so far. Labonte with a big block on Dale Earnhardt Jr. Bobby Labonte does have a win this season at Texas, trying to go for his second win of the season today. Oh, he's in the wall off turn 4. I think he got tight in the dirty air behind Biffle. Junior to second. Labonte going to slide back a little bit. Fastest lap of the day for Biffle that time, and that was while leading. 46.805. Track's getting a little quicker as it gets rubbered in, I guess. Dale Jr. with a run to the outside. He didn't have a lot of help, but that 8 car is very strong. Biffle trying to side draft him. The backstretch holding behind. I think that's Joe Nemechek in the 01 who's up to 3rd. Biffle trying to side draft the 8 still in the middle of the corner. Joe Nemechek going to slide in line right behind Dale Jr. on the outside. Biffle's have to sit and wait. We'll stay with the far chase cam now for the rest of the race today as we have 89 laps to go. And Dale Jr.'s back out in front. Going into turns 3 and 4. Biffle with a run, looking high. Jr. to block. Biffle going down low, middle of the corner. And they're door to door again. Drag race. Who can side draft better as they make their way into turn 3? Biffle trying to force Earnhardt into a mistake. Biffle is clear off turn 4. Nemechek going for second. Down on the bottom, and now he's going for the lead as Biffle has to block him. One more field pass yet today, and we'll do that when we get to the start-finish line this time by, so we can get it out of the way here quickly. Still in the first half of the race. We'll be halfway home in about 8 laps. Here's one of the slow cars. Terry Labonte in the 44 thought about crowding the bottom. And luckily, Biffle was able to get by. Eesh. We'll go to Carl Edwards in the 99 next. Lap 74 at the line. Edwards in 6th. Honestly, I'm just going to try to keep him there. Not going to look to pass anybody. Really hoping Greg Biffle could get by Jeff Green quickly. They're closing in on the 43. Edwards to block the 24 on the outside. A lot of cars wadding up on the top. Biffle is one of them. He's trying to get to the bottom. Edwards is checking up. Biffle falls back to about 4th. Edwards is way out of the gas trying to keep it off Dale Jr. He clears the 43. And Edwards is going to lose the draft of the top 5. Biffle still staying in the lead pack. He's got Junior behind him. The first and second going to fall back, and for the first time today, Joe Nemechek is out in front. Black flag for side drafting. Start black flagging everybody for anything they tried to do to manipulate anything. How about Joe Nemechek, though, out in front at Daytona? Is Front Row Joe going to pull off an upset today? We're almost halfway home. He's leading. It's now our 9th different leader of the race. Edwards with a big block on Gordon. Just Just going to hold Edwards where he's at right now. 2 more laps, then we'll swap to another driver. Greg Biffle trying to go for third. He's on the inside. Whoever that is on the outside of him. Tough to tell from all the way back here. Jeff Gordon trying to get a run as he gets to the outside of Carl Edwards. But Edwards slides back up in front of him on the back straightaway again. That did not happen. Kyle Busch has worked his way back up to 8th place as he closes in on Carl Edwards and Jeff Gordon. Busch was all the way at the back at one point, but he has fought his way forward. Started towards the front, then he was at the tail end of the field, now he's towards the front again. Great run for Kyle Busch. Gordon got a little wide. A tight had to lift off the exit of turn 4. We'll drive as the 97 of Kurt Busch next. He is still pretty deep in the field. He's got Mark Martin right behind him. And he's going to try to let Martin go so he can then draft behind him again. Remember Kurt Busch got in that big one earlier today. Mark Martin got in a 2-car wreck there with himself and Jeremy Mayfield. That was the first caution back at lap 29. Busch going to let the 6 go. That'll drop him to 30. It stays in front of the 45 of Kyle Petty, and now he'll just draft behind Martin. Give him a little bump draft. Both these cars have damage, so it might be a little harder to bump draft, but did it perfectly that time on the back straightaway. Bobby Labonte to the lead as he has gotten back around Joe Nemechek. Second time the 18 car's been out in front of the field today. Biffle was in third. Maybe he followed Labonte up to second. He was definitely in that lead pack. And the bump draft. About halfway through this fuel run right now. Two more laps with Kurt. Then we'll go to Mark Martin after this. Means he's right here. Then we'll have to swap to Kenseth after that. And then back to Biffle for the rest of the race. I think the leader, or Biffle back to the lead, by the way, as he got by Labonte in turns 1 and 2. So the Biff is leading again at Daytona. A lot of lead changes so far today. Kurt was going to sit behind the 6, but he had a big run down on the bottom, so he went for it. And he's still going to go for it. 3 wide under Wimmer and Meal, clearing them both for 26th into turn 3. Is he close enough, though, behind the 21 of Ricky Rudd? Rudd drafted off a car right in front of him. I think it might be Kenny Wallace in the 00. Either him or Sterling Marlin. 3 wide back behind him. Martin trying to go to the bottom end of the tri-oval. Kurt is going to be able to stay with Rudd. 46.555 for Kurt Busch that last time by at the line. Gets by Rudd and Marlin. Deep dive into turn 1 as he clears them both for 24th now. Kurt Busch trying to move his way forward after getting in a crash early. Has some speed still in that 97 despite the big one being caused as they were almost 4 wide into turn 3 earlier. So we'll drop back to Mark Martin next. Martin up to 27th. He was able to follow Kurt Busch, at least through the first few cars. Greg Biffle and the rest of the leaders about to catch the lap cars of Terry Labonte and Jeff Green. I got a bowl of ramen waiting for me after I get done with this stream. Nothing exotic tonight. Looks like Biffle's still holding on to the lead. Getting by Terry Labonte. Mark Martin drafting with the 40 of Sterling Marlin. I didn't think he was close enough to catch him, but I guess he was. There's damage on the 16, but not, or damage on the 6, but not as much as the 97. A two-car crash with Mayfield, there wasn't much damage on either the 6 or the 19 earlier. And that took place off turn 2. Martin pulling out, gonna make a pass on Marlin and Rudd, and sits behind his teammate Kurt Busch in 25th in the 3 and 4. Martin Truex Jr. is the next car in front of the 97 in the 6. Martin led laps much earlier in the race, and he'll pull out a line on his teammate. Makes a pass for 24th, drafts in line now behind Martin Truex Jr. Gonna make a pass on him into turn 1. Closing in on a bunch of cars here that are getting held up by Terry Labonte. That would include Kenny Walls. Look at 3 wide to the bottom goes Mark Martin. To get by, is he close enough behind Tony Stewart? Martin 6 seconds off the lead. He is barely close enough behind Stewart. That worked out perfectly for him. They still have to catch Jeff Green yet. One more lap with the 6 when we get to the start-finish line, this time by. Gets by Rusty Wallace. He's in line right behind the 20 of Tony Stewart. Stewart blocking the 6. I think they're catching up to Jeff Green in that 43. Martin going low under Stewart, 3 wide. He got around him. Mark Martin to 19th. So bump draft Jamie McMurray, who was in the top 5 earlier as well in this race. Greg Biffle still leading at Daytona as he's done for most of the day. Trouble off turn 4 right in front of Martin. It's going to the pits to try to miss Jimmy Johnson. Wow, he barely missed him. I kept going low and he just kept going low and I had to go back high again at the last second. AI took over. Johnson. Wow, that was a close call for Mark Martin. I didn't lift either. Look at this. Martin's coming down. Wow, just missed him. As Johnson slides onto pit road. And we've got yet another caution, our 5th of the race. And we may be seeing pit stops for the 3rd time under the yellow. Martin's going to pit. Everybody else is going to stay out, but Martin will come down for 4 tires and fuel. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, obviously the 6 is going to the back, but contact between Mike Bliss, by the way, and Jimmy Johnson's what turned the 48 around off turn 4. No, my water's empty. I was going to take a drink, and I guess I'll have to suffer. That would have been a hard lick for the 6 and the 48. That might have knocked him out of the race, especially with Martin already being in a wreck today. That was the first time Johnson's been involved in an accident. Slow motion, yeah, that was close. So Greg Biffle will restart as the leader. Jeff Green underneath him. Green flag going to be back in the air. Terry Labonte in line behind the 6. I think that's because he got the free pass. Johnson, fortunately, behind his teammate. Johnson pitted as well then, so Johnson and Martin both pitted. Johnson was involved in the wreck, Martin was not. So we'll see where that will end up cycling the 6 and the 48 eventually then. It's going to be interesting. When we get back to the start-finish line, assuming there's no wreck again, this lap will go back. Greg Biffle has lost the lead to Harvick on the restart. But lap 89 on the restart. Alternating strategy for Jimmy Johnson and Mark Martin right now. We know Johnson's got a fast car. Definitely the fastest of the Hendrick bunch in today's race. This is going to be an absolute mess off of turn 4. Mark Martin looking to get a lot of spots here. Down to the apron to pass a bunch of cars. That worked. Wow. Bunch of moves there for Mark Martin. That Kenseth in 24th. On the lead lap, 1.8 seconds off the lead. Sandman, thanks for tuning in. We'll have 3 laps with Kenseth, then we'll go back to Greg Biffle the rest of the race. Oh, okay. I was waiting for the leaderboard to update. I didn't think there was that many cars in front of Kenseth. There wasn't. Kenseth going to bump draft Jason Leffler down on the bottom. He's lifting to keep the 38 in front of him as both the Robert Yates Fords side by side. At least they were. Now Sadler clears 88. Yeah, I'm surprised more cars didn't pit. Kenseth a big run. Thought about going up the middle 3 wide. Thought better of it. Smart move. And we're about to get green flag pit stops. So Martin and Johnson are going to be the leaders. Unless we get a caution before green flag stops. And actually, Michael Waltrip is just blowing in motor heading into the tri-oval. And I don't know if he made it to pit road or not. So we stay green. Kenseth gets by Jarrett. That'll give him another spot. I think Biffle's in 4th. In the lead pack. Kenseth diving underneath of Leffler. Oops, didn't mean to do that. I meant to side draft him. Well, we're going to have a lot of cars pitting this time. Kenseth to the inside of the 38. Clears him for 8th place. Greg Biffle will pit with a bunch of the leaders. Bobby Labonte, Matt Kenseth stay out. So green flag pit stops in the Daytona 400 tonight. 3rd stops of the day. We're going to stay out with Kenseth. We have one more lap with him after this lap. There's Waltrip down on the apron of the racetrack yet. Still trying to get to pit road. Bobby Labonte stays out again, so does Kenseth. We'll swap back to Greg Biffle next lap. Is he still getting up to speed? I wanted to this lap. We'll wait. So another 4-tire stop for the 16. This one under green flag conditions. Again, hopefully he cycles really well. He was in 3rd place when he pitted. Well, 4th considering Labonte was in front of him. Would have been 4th place in the pits. Kenseth blocking Jared on the back straightaway. He was trying to side draft some of those cars down on the bottom that were getting up to speed still, but they're well faster than him anyway. Kenseth will stay out this time by. I don't believe Matt Kenseth has led yet. So if Labonte pits this time, Kenseth will lead his first lap, but I don't think Labonte's going to pit. Oh, Jared tags to the 17. He makes the save, races around Bobby Labonte, and gets back into Jared again. Yikes. We'll just get to Biffle now. Jeez. That was a moment. Jared clipping Matt Kenseth. Great save by Kenseth, though. And we'll drive as Biffle the rest of this race. So Biffle cycle right here with these other leaders. Just clearing the 99. Carl Edwards still hasn't led a lap all day, but he's been in the top 5 almost the whole race. Biffle trying to stay with the 8 and the 29, not letting him get away. Joe Nemechek still in this lead pack yet. Kyle Busch leads for the first time, so we now have 10 different leaders in today's race. Big run for Biffle down towards the bottom of the racetrack. Giving Dale Jr. a big push into turn 1. Might have pushed him a little too far out ahead of him. Hopefully he can still stay with him. Nemechek slides up in front of the 99. Dale Jr. going underneath the 29. Big run. Biffle under Earnhardt. Don't know who that is just up ahead. I think it may be Bobby Labonte. He was cycled to the lead, but he doesn't have any drafting help. Biffle still can't get by Jr. I'd say Dale Jr.'s been the hardest car to pass all day. Big run this time for the 16. Got some lap cars down on the bottom of the track. 3 wide goes Biffle into the corner as he clears Earnhardt and Harvick. Jarrett. Busch on the bottom. Biffle to third. Mark Martin still on the track. Bobby Labonte getting held up into turn 3 by Terry Labonte. His brother held him up of all drivers. Biffle to second. And remember that Mark Martin pitted during the caution flag, so he could stay out for quite a ways. And I think both Mark Martin as well as the rest of the field can make this race on one stop. So if it somehow goes caution-free to the end, I think Mark Martin's going to win this race. But we have had 5 cautions so far in the first 100 laps. So I kind of highly doubt that it will stay caution-free, but I guess you never know. Great racing today, but this is a battle for the eventual lead right now at the front of the field. Once Martin pits, but it's going to be a while till he pits. This may ruin Biffle's chances of getting the most laps led if Martin leads a bunch here. Good news is, no chance for Edwards to take the lead, at least for now. I'm confident we'll get cautions before the end of this race. So I'm not too worried about Mark Martin and where he's at right now. So looking to try to get within 35 to go. So we can ensure that Biffle will make it on field to the end. Maybe able to go a little bit further than that. But we haven't gone a full field run without a caution, so we don't know exactly what that limit is. Plus, Biffle hasn't really been in the draft a whole lot today either. But in second place with 63 laps to go, and he's led the most laps in the race up to this point, I don't think Greg Biffle's arguing at all with where he is at and the position he's in to potentially go get that win at Daytona after DNFing in the first 2 Daytona races of the season. And, of course, again for myself, 0 for 15. If we lose today's race at Daytona, we're 0 for 14 coming in. We'll be catching Jeff Green in a few laps. It has been interesting when catching all of these slow drivers. There's 2 of them. Terry Labonte and Jeff Green have been down a cylinder for a while in this race. They're blowing engines and coming back in. Had quite a few engine failures so far. Wouldn't be surprised if a couple of them got knocked out with that big one we had around lap 35 earlier. Had 2 big ones today. Or sorry, 1 big one. 2 Roush cars have been involved in accidents. Biffle clearly gets to the bottom, gets around Jeff Green. Everybody else behind him got held up, though. Biffle pulling away a bit. 61 to go. Field didn't really space apart that much after green flag pit stops compared to what we usually see on the super speedways. Spaced apart there after Jeff Green held up the leaders. Didn't hold up Biffle, though. Biffle about 39.4 seconds behind Martin. Be interesting to see where Martin will cycle after he pits as well. And Jimmy Johnson also pitted with Mark Martin, but he pitted with everybody else here to get back on the same strategy. Martin did not. Mark Martin trying to win this race on fuel mileage. Everybody else, though, they know it's clearly a one-stop race. Didn't have today's trivia question right at halfway. We've had a lot of great racing going on the side, but today's trivia question I'll ask you guys right now. And it's going to actually be an Xfinity Series question, but when was the last year in the NASCAR Xfinity Series that both the spring and the summer Daytona races were won by drivers starting on the front row? So that is today's trivia question for you guys in the chat. So last time the Xfinity Series had a driver or drivers start on the front row in both the spring and summer Daytona races and win. We'll see who can get that question correctly first. As usual, shout out whoever does. So Michael Waltrip blowing an engine earlier. It's kind of concerning for Dale Jr. He's had a really fast car today. Biffle's doing what he needs to do in this race to try to cut down on that points deficit on Carl Edwards. 4 super speedway races this season if you count the other 2 races at Talladega as well. Greg Biffle hasn't finished better than 17th. 17th in the second Dega race. We still have one more trip there as well, and that will actually be the season finale race on this custom schedule season for another 500-mile race at Talladega. Kevin Harvick going wide. Edwards looking underneath him. It is not 2006 or 2021. By the way, there's a lot of cars a lap down right now. If we saw a caution before Martin pits, that would be interesting, especially on the restarts with them lining up on the inside of the leaders. It's not 98 or 2010 either. I'll give you guys to the end of lap 107 to try to get the trivia question correct. It isn't answered before then. I'll give you guys a few more laps yet. Again, you're trying to answer. It's not 2019. That's a good guess, though. Actually, 2019 was the last year somebody had won from the pole in the Xfinity Series at Daytona. But only one of those races, somebody started from the front row. It's not 2020 either. Again, the trivia question is, when was the last time that both the spring and summer Daytona races in the Xfinity Series were won by drivers starting on the front row? Both races. Not 2018, not 2000 either. Not 2015. I'm sure somebody will get it before the end of lap 107. You got 2.5 laps. Longer laps, of course, around Daytona. Catching up on Terry Labonte. Big gap before they catch Jeff Green after that. I think one of them pitted since the restart, and the other one probably didn't. Side by side for third, off of turn 4 between Harvick and Earnhardt. Bonnie thought about crowding Greg Biffle there, and he held everybody else up behind him. Biffle slips by at full speed. It's not 2012, 2014, 2011, or 2017 either. I haven't seen the correct answer yet in the chat. A lap and a half. Notice Jeff Green's kept his car on the outside like every time, but Terry Labonte's been trying to block more cars, it seems like. And somebody else on pit road who blew motor during this green flag run recently as well. It's not 2000. Mark DeMars has gotten it. Somebody has finally gotten the trivia question. 2003. And in fact, Dale Jr. won both of those races, and he started on the front row both times First race he started on the pole, and the summer race he started second. So that is the answer, and that is the last time that a driver or drivers have won both the spring and summer Xfinity races at Daytona from the front row. It was also the last time somebody has swept the Daytona races in the Xfinity Series was that same year with Dale Jr. in 03. Edwards all by his lonesome self trying to get by Biffle on the outside. Biffle doesn't want to work with him today, though. Even though they're teammates, they're racing for a championship. Edwards has cleared Biffle. Luckily, it's not for the lead with Martin still out in front. Biffle gets another run at him on the back straightaway and goes low. Harvick and Earnhardt down on the bottom. Biffle will clear the 99 into 3. Oh, Edwards contact with Harvick. Harvick really squeezed the 99 there. Donut on the right side and on the door numbers on 29. And here comes Jeff Green. Harvick to the outside. Edwards gonna follow. Greg Biffle all the way down to the bottom. Oh, Jeff Green gonna pull to the bottom right in front of Greg Biffle. Biffle goes wide. He's in the wall. He tried to swing the car to the outside to get around. He couldn't. Four wide in the tri-ovals to get by Green. Biffle hit the wall pretty good. Harvick is now up to second. Everybody else still tightly compacted together, though. Biffle side drafts Edwards. And now a bump draft Dale Jr. on the back straightaway. Junior to the outside, though, in turns 3 and 4. Biffle in the wall again off turn 4. Gonna have to try to stay relaxed again. Edwards trying to block Sadler and Labonte. Biffle trying to block Carl Edwards still. Halfway out of fuel at this point in the run. 50 laps to go at Daytona. Believe Greg Biffle is barely in the draft of Dale Jr. yet. Thought he lost him, but I guess not. Trying to desperately hold on to the draft. I'm surprised Greg Biffle's able to do it. Very lucky that the 16 car is as good in the draft as it is. He's got a big run on the 8 of Dale Jr. Has to lift to try to keep it off the wall. He still couldn't keep it off the wall. More loss of momentum. Side drafts the 99. Biffle's gotten in the wall 3 times now. Right side of his car a little bit damaged as a result. Edwards will get by. Bobby Labonte to the bottom now as well. Yeah, that hit in the wall definitely tightened the 16 up. Slingshots right by both Edwards and Labonte. And he's in line behind Dale Jr. again. Mark Martin, still on the racetrack with less than 50 to go. He's down to 47 laps left in this race. He can make it to about 35 to go. Martin's going to have a good shot to make it on one stop. Greg Biffle get a bump draft Dale Jr. again as he tries to get away from the pack of cars behind him and trying to close in on the 29 of Harvick, who's really pulled away. After all that battling for position going on behind him. That all started when Jeff Green had held Greg Biffle up. As well as everybody but Harvick, pretty much. Junior and Biffle drafting away from that pack now. Junior going back to the outside, though, in turns 1 and 2. Biffle's already got a tighter car. He really doesn't want to run the top. Get even closer to that wall. Biffle to bump draft Earnhardt on the back straight. And just really trying to get Earnhardt Jr. up to Kevin Harvick. Biffle lifts as they go into turns 3 and 4 with Earnhardt again wanting to run the top. Biffle prepared for it that time. Don't want to get too tight as he was all up in line behind the 8. Biffle giving the 8 a big push on the front stretch now as well. Pulls out of line into turns 1 and 2 as he gets to the inside of Earnhardt. But not going to be able to pass him. He was close enough behind Harvick. Might have pulled out of line a little too late. And again, he'll bump draft Dale Jr. Pulls out of line again into the corner. Kevin Harvick right there. Oh my gosh, they're going to be 3 wide. As they split Terry Labonte. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Wow. How did Earnhardt and Biffle split him like that off of turn number 4? Harvick got held up. They were 3 wide with Harvick in the middle, and that's where Labonte was. My gosh. Michael Turner, thanks for tuning in. Can I win at Daytona tonight? Sure as heck gonna try. We'll push in the 8. These two getting way out ahead of everybody else right now. He's willing to do it because Mark Martin's still leading. Biffle wants all the laps led he possibly can. But he's battling Earnhardt really for second. The problem is Earnhardt keeps running the top, so Biffle will pull to the bottom. Again going into 1 and 2. Just because he doesn't want to risk hitting the wall and losing Earnhardt. But on the back straightaway, he'll hop back in line behind the 8. Give him another big push as they go off into turns 3 and 4. Biffle half a lane lower than Earnhardt on entry into the corner, trying to get that car to turn with a little bit of clean air. It's about as calm as the race has been all day up to this point. Wonder if these guys run the top, though, if other cars may catch back up to him again. No chance that these guys are going to catch Mark Martin before the end of the race. Biffle feathering the throttle into 3 and 4. Bump draft Dale Jr. Off into turns 1 and 2. Biffle to the inside. He's trying to get a draft off the 43, who's down on the bottom. Oh, and Jeff Green slid right across Biffle and Earnhardt's front bumper. Biffle lost some momentum, but not as much as Dale Jr. Luckily, he was able to get around. And I don't know how he didn't turn the 43. I'm surprised that Jeff Green held onto his car as Biffle makes the pass around him for second. Torres, thanks for tuning in. here we go. 40 to go for Mark Martin at the line this time by. He is trying to make this race on one more stop. If we stay green, it's looking like Mark Martin will win this race on fuel mileage the way things are looking right now. But everybody else battling for second on back. Dale Jr., Greg Biffle out there for now. Billy Carjoy, thanks for tuning in. Quarter of a tank of gas left for Biffle. 40 to go for him at the line this time. Junior cracks the wall off turn 4 as he gets tight in the dirty air behind the 16. Biffle has survived today. He has not been caught up in a wreck. It's been very intense pack racing all race long. We're working our way down to the checker here soon. Before we know it, we'll be there. Biffle with a big block off turn 2 on Earnhardt on the outside. Some other cars starting to close in from behind. He goes a bit wide into the corner. Into turns 3 and 4. Dale Jr. underneath. Contact between the two cars. No caution. Martin is pitting this time by with 39 laps to go. He may not be able to make it to the end on fuel. He's going to have to go 38 laps on fuel when he comes out of the pits. Good thing there was no yellow there between Biffle and Earnhardt as they made contact. Biffle was trying to squeeze the 8 car down on the bottom of the track off turn 4, and Earnhardt couldn't hold on to his car on these older tires. So this will give Greg Biffle the race lead. I think Carl Edwards is up to second. Edwards has still not led a lap yet today. And I think Biffle's led the most, although Mark Martin's led a lot now with this alternating strategy. He'll be back in the lead here again for quite some time as well. There's Martin on the bottom of the track. He's definitely not going to be the leader coming out of the pits. He's smoking too. Got some black smoke coming out of the back of the 6. Edwards to the outside. He's looking for his first lead of the race. Oh, man, he's going to clear Biffle. Biffle pulling out of line again. Can he get by Edwards? He doesn't want him to lead. He crowds him. No contact. They almost wrecked there. Biffle slides clear. He took one for the team. He needed to. He didn't want Edwards to lead. Junior to the front. But anybody but the 99. And he didn't make contact with him either, so that was good as well. Elliott Sadler going for the lead. He's already led today. Trying to lead again. Dale Jr. has been cleared, and Elliott Sadler now leads at Daytona. Not a lot of hope for Biffle. Harvick a little bit further back yet. Biffle side drafts the 99 of Edwards into 3 and 4. Trying to take Newman's line away. Not going to be able to. Biffle's definitely worn his tires out more this run than any other run up to this point. His teammate Matt Kenseth down on the bottom. Trying to push the 16. 36 laps to go at Daytona. Ryan Newman down on the bottom. Edwards will go down to try to block the 12. Biffle's still in the top 5, as he pretty much has been the whole race. They're closing in on another one of the slow cars, either Terry Labonte or Jeff Green. Greg Biffle going to push Ryan Newman on the back straightaway, trying to get him underneath the 99. Oh, Labonte's going all the way down to the bottom. Newman checked up going into the corner. Biffle got to get by the 12 and the 99, 3 wide. Slides up right in front of both of them. And in line behind Dale Jr., who is in second still. And Labonte pitting that time, so that's why he held the bottom all the way through the corner. A few other cars behind him also pitting. Is Biffle close enough to Dale Jr.? to stay in the draft behind the 8. Biffle can't hold the outside. In the wall again. Sadler will pit. Biffle over 2 seconds off the lead. Yeah, Mark Martin's got an issue. He has been smoking ever since he came out of the pits, and he's still down on the apron. So Mark Martin will not win this race. He has just gone a lap down, so no fuel mileage for Martin. It's going to be a race to the checker for those that were up in front other than him. I think we got another car potentially smoking on the outside of the track. I can't tell if there's smoke coming out of the back of that car. Probably not. Biffle lost his drafting partner, so he'll pit this time. Trying to go for it all. Locking the tires up. Can't speed into the pits. He does not. Perfect. 4 tires and fuel for Greg Biffle. That was absolute commitment there for Greg Biffle to try to get to pit road as fast as he could without speeding. He passed the 18 and the 0 on his way in. Can the Mr. Clean crew have a clean stop? And we'll see where Biffle will cycle. Biffle lost his drafting partner, so he wanted to pit there. His tires were gone, as we saw in the couple laps prior to that. And he wanted to take 4 tires for the finish because the 2-tire strategy obviously has not worked for me at Daytona yet. There's Labonte coming out of the pits. Biffle trying to stay in the draft behind the 18 as they get up to speed. On the apron. Biffle has cleared Labonte. But there goes Sadler up on the outside. Sadler will be the eventual leader, with Martin having problems. There isn't a red X over Martin anymore. Greg Biffle not going to be able to keep up with Bobby Labonte, it doesn't look like either. You see the tire marks from Biffle trying to get into the pits when he did. It worked, though. Couple cars side by side coming out of the pits. They file in line. It was Johnson and Earnhardt. Biffle going to let Kevin Harvick in the 29 go. Drops in line behind him. Another car trying to get up to speed. Ryan Newman's still out on the track. Can't tell exactly who that is. Looks like Carl Edwards. Somebody else. Maybe Dale Jr.? I thought Jr. already cycled out pit road, but maybe not. Yeah, locking those tires up, I wouldn't have been able to take 2. I was committed to really wanting to take 4. I wanted grip to the end, because I was already lacking grip there at the end of that run. Took 4. We're going to have grip for most of this run at least. Biffle pulling out of line. Jeff Gordon down to the bottom trying to get up to speed. This pack will get by him. Biffle to draft behind Bobby Labonte. Slingshots by Kevin Harvick. Sadler still with a decent-sized lead. Martin may not lead the most laps anymore. Newman's still trying to come out of the pits. Where will he cycle? Biffle, oh man, down below the yellow line to try to get by the 18. It may work. Still side by side. Had to get up on the track before he spun out. It was an aggressive pass, but he got by him. Might have to let the 18 back around, though, because he lost too much momentum. And the 99 and the 8 were able to stay out in front of him. Another car trying to get up to speed down to the bottom of the racetrack. And I believe it's Ryan Newman in the 12. As Edwards, as well as the car right in front of him, will get around Newman. Biffle trying to draft off the 12. He's still a little too far behind. Biffle's got Jeff Gordon behind him. Harvick's still on the outside. Gordon to the inside of the 29. We're down to 29 laps to go at Daytona. Biffle's still got a shot to win it as he's in the lead draft. There's Jeff Green, so we won't catch him for a while. Probably end up catching Terry Labonte next of those slow cars. Labonte running the top. Biffle down to block the 24. Barely did so perfectly. Biffle trying to get Bobby Labonte to run the bottom. He's not really wanting to. He stays closer to the bottom this time, not on that yellow line. More towards the middle. It's better than the bottom, or better than the top. Got to be in good position to try to get around Jeff Green and Terry Labonte every time these guys will catch him. They'll catch him a few more times for the end of this race. Newman has gotten back around Carl Edwards. Edwards starting to lose the 12 and the 8. Big run right now for Greg Biffle on the back straightaway. Pulls out a line on Bobby Labonte. Is he close enough behind Carl Edwards? Might have been a little bit too far behind the 99 yet. He's got the 18 down to the bottom with him. Edwards running the bottom. Greg Biffle really went for it there. He's really, really hoping that he's close enough. He's really relying on Labonte to give him a big push. Labonte's had a fast car. He's led laps at times today. So Martin's still in this race, but he definitely fell an extra lap down. I don't believe Greg Biffle is close enough to Carl Edwards, and he's going to have to let the 18 go again, which is unfortunate because Labonte keeps wanting to run the top. Biffle's dangling in the draft behind the 99 right now. He's going to try to widen his arc out a little more. He's going to want Bobby Labonte to catch him. Going up to block the 18. 2 seconds off the lead from Sadler right now. And they're catching up to another slow car here, so Biffle's actually going to stay in front of Bobby Labonte because they're catching a slow car off the exit of turn 2. And he doesn't want to be stuck behind the 18, depending on how the checkup is going to end up being. May catch this lead pack as he stays in front of the 29 and the 18. He wants to catch one of these cars. They're going to get to the bottom. And Sadler definitely got held up because that giant lead he had is gone. And the 44 stays high. Biffle gets around him. Is he close enough to the draft? I don't think he's close enough. And he's lost drafting help from behind him, too. Oh, this is problematic. This is problematic now. 3 wide for the lead into turn 1. Newman tried to make it 3, but couldn't quite do it. So Biffle gains 1 spot out of that, but... And he closes the gap. He just can't quite catch him. And Dale Jr.'s leading. He may have the fastest car in the field today. Qualified on the pole. He's led a decent amount of laps himself. And he's leading the pack. Edwards is in 4th. Don't want him to lead. He has not led a lap all day. Biffle's got 2 cars closing up behind him. Bobby Labonte and then looks like Jeff Gordon. Gordon on the bottom on the inside of the 18. Biffle's going to have to work with one of those cars. Gordon to the top. I think he's just trying to pass the 18 right now. Apron Race fan, thanks for tuning in. Biffle going to the outside. Biffle staying as high as he can right now. Bobby Labonte clears him off turn 4, and that's actually perfect because Gordon stayed in line behind the 16. 2.4 seconds off the lead. It's this 3-car group trying to catch the 4-car group at the front. Bobby Labonte again, though, running that outside lane. It's going to allow Jeff Gordon to get underneath the 16. They're trying to hold his lane. Gordon underneath him. Did a good job keeping it off Gordon and the wall there. Labonte down to block Gordon. Gordon with a fake goes to the top, but Biffle goes with the 18 because now Labonte's on the bottom lane, so Biffle back to 6th again. Now will Labonte stay on the bottom? That's the next question. We're down to 22 laps to go in the Daytona 400. I almost said the Daytona 500. The Daytona 400 today. They're catching up to Jeff Green in the 43. Biffle and Labonte about 2.3, 2.4 seconds off the lead. Biffle get a bump draft. Bobby Labonte on the back straightaway here. Try to get that 18 car as close to the front of the field as possible. Oh, Labonte didn't hang on to it. Oh, he did. Okay. I thought he was going to lose it going into 3. Biffle very aggressive with the push to the 18 that time. Edwards is stuck behind the lap car off the exit of turn 4. Biffle to the inside of the 18. Passes him. Edwards has lost the top 3 as Biffle close enough to Carl Edwards. Last time he wasn't. Is he close enough this time? It's close again. It is very close. Pulled a little bit closer to him into 3 and 4. Top 3 didn't get held up that much, but Edwards definitely did. And obviously Labonte did also, as well as Gordon behind Biffle. Biffle pulled the 24 and the 18, but he is with Carl Edwards. You don't want to work with the points leader, but he's going to have to, as he's a second off the lead with 20 laps to go at Daytona and a shot to break the curse and finally get a Daytona Cup win on an EA Sports game. Biffle doesn't want to work with him too much. He's going to pull out a line on Edwards. He'll make a pass for 4th. Is he close enough behind Elliott Sadler? Wants to try to leave the 99 in the dust if possible. Newman going to the inside of the 8 for the lead with the 38 following the 12. Newman hasn't led all day, but he's side by side. That'll bog those cars down a little bit. The 99 is now pushing the 16. Trying to stay in the draft. 19 to go. Biffle trying to stay in the gas. His car got a little tight. Earnhardt on the outside, though, so he's able to draft somebody in that outside lane. Earnhardt back to 3rd. Sadler to 2nd. Ryan Newman leads. 3 of the top 4 in points are up here. Biffle has pulled Carl Edwards. Gets to the inside of Dale Jr. into 3. Sadler down to block. He saw the run that a fellow Ford had. He pulled down in front of it. Biffle to 3rd. Edwards is the points leader. I really don't want to work with him. I'm hoping he loses the top 4. Biffle goes below the 38 into turn 1. He's there, but will he clear him? Trying to side draft him on the outside. 3 wide goes Earnhardt down to the bottom. Biffle with a run. Going up the middle between Dale Jr. and Elliott Sadler, and he's going to get to 2nd going into 3. Got a little air loose from the 8 car as he enters the corner. That's why he clipped the apron. He didn't spin out, though. Not quite able to keep up with the 12. Trying to as he side drafts Elliott Sadler a little more. Biffle to second. On the outside, right in front of Sadler. Edwards has caught Dale Jr. Oh, Sadler got the wall off turn 2. So did Biffle. That's going to stall Biffle's run out. Trying to side draft Dale Jr. Blocks the 38 up high. They're catching another slow car into 3 and 4. Biffle blocks Sadler down on the bottom. Gets to the inside. Newman around the top to get by Terry Labonte. And everybody went high as Labonte did. And Biffle is going to clear them all, but can he stay with Ryan Newman? This is the race right here. If he can't keep up with Ryan Newman, it may be game over for Greg Biffle as he's in second. He hasn't led in a while. Didn't lead a lap when Martin initially pitted. So it's been a good 60, 70 laps since Biffle has led today, but I think he's just a little bit too far behind. Newman didn't get held up enough. He got around on the outside before Labonte moved up to the wall. About a half a second off the lead. Not close enough to draft. Edwards is in third, unfortunately, and Sadler right there behind him, which is also unfortunate. This is becoming more and more of a must-win with the other points leaders right behind Biffle. No, Edwards hasn't led a lap. We're down to 15 to go. Sadler's led off and on today. Edwards has not led a lap, but he's been in the top 5 almost all race. Biffle going to have to let Edwards go. And he's going to have to drop in line behind him, which is unfortunate. Unless Sadler can get to the bottom. Biffle blocks the 99 to the outside. He's going to try to let the 38 get by both of them. Almost making contact with Sadler. Sadler really side drafted the 16. Great job by Biffle keeping it off the wall. And he's going to work with Sadler. He really didn't want to work with Edwards being the points leader. Second and a half off the lead now. Behind Ryan Newman with 14 to go. Sadler running the top, though, and Biffle's going to have to follow him just to stay in the draft. Edwards to the inside. No contact. Very tight together. Edwards staying in the draft. Went a little bit wide that time. Sadler and Biffle staying there. This is intense. Edwards went wide. He had to lift. It's allowing the 38 and the 16 to pull away a little bit. Still second and a half off the lead. But again, Sadler running the top, which is not where Biffle wants to go. But at all costs really needs to beat the 99. Even if it's by a spot or two. I mean, he's got more bonus points. May end up with a max points day. They're losing Newman. 1.7 seconds back. Newman about to catch another one of the slow cars. He'll catch those guys a few more times. Biffle getting tight. Edwards going up. Or going down to the bottom. I should say Sadler going up to the top anyway. I think Newman just got the wall off turn 4. And after he hit the wall, he is now getting held up by the lap car just in front. Biffle to the inside of the 38. He's going to try to trap him behind Jeff Green. Green pulls to the bottom. Biffle just gets underneath him. And he has caught Ryan Newman in 1 and 2. Green's up against the wall now, and that allows the 99 and the 38 to get by. Sadler to third, and here comes Biffle for the win. Down to the bottom of the track as he gets underneath Ryan Newman with 12 to go. Biffle is back in front for the first time in over 60 laps. I need a little luck to finally win at Daytona. It may happen. Newman in the wall again off turn 4 for the second straight lap, and Biffle is out in front. 11 to go. I can't believe it, man. I'm so excited. We're going to be racing. That's what we want. We want to lead the race in this situation, right? Hoping for the best. Sadler, Edwards, side by side. Let's not argue about the apron down in the chat. Let's just enjoy the race for what it is. It's been a great one so far. Oh no, Edwards trying to lead a lap down on the bottom. Gets crowded by Greg Biffle, and Biffle still leads 10 to go. Can't let Edwards lead. Newman with a run up high. Biffle arrow loose with the 99 behind him. You can see his car wiggling off turn 2. Newman back out in front. Trying to get another run underneath the 12 into turn 3. He's underneath him. He washes up the track. There's contact. Oh no, they get together and Edwards is going to be out in front. Oh my gosh, that was the worst thing that could have happened. Biffle got tight on the bottom, and he tried to keep it off the... I was lifting, and I still washed up into him. Oh, my gosh, and Edwards is leading for the first time today with 9 to go. Battle for second now. 3.5 seconds behind. Biffle trying to keep up with Ryan Newman and Elliott Sadler as they're side by side. Newman with a big block on Sadler. Sadler might have grazed the wall off turn 4. Will we stay green to the end? We haven't had a caution since about lap 78. We've had 5 cautions in the race total today, but it, again, has been a while. Newman on the bottom. Biffle stays in the gas, just gets underneath the 38. Trying to stay in the draft behind him. Behind the 12, that is. Should get Biffle to 3rd. He's going to draft with Newman. Edwards is going to catch the slow cars probably one more time. But we haven't seen anybody lose over 3 seconds behind him. Biffle's got to hope Ryan Newman can get through pretty quickly because Biffle's going to need the drafting help. Newman running the outside, which is not what Biffle wants in the middle. Turns 1 and 2. Edwards is getting held up, or did at least. 2.5 right now off the lead. The pack has gotten bigger. Biffle has to pull out a line to pass the 12. Oh no, he got into the wall and into Newman. Well, Biffle's in second with 6 to go. Jeff Gordon has made it through. He's up to 3rd. I will say they're not 3.5 seconds off the lead anymore. Jeff Gordon. Underneath Biffle. Biffle gonna let the 24 go. Try to draft in line behind him. Shouldn't lose him. 5 to go at the line. Noah Hall, thanks for tuning in also. Struggling for grip and really just trying to hang in there at all costs. Gordon to the top now too. I was expecting Newman to check up where he did, and I was riding in line behind him, so when it pulled out kind of late in the corner, I couldn't actually get the car to stick to the bottom because of how late I pulled out, and I didn't lift that time, and got up into him and into the wall. We were only second and a half off the lead again. Well, again, Edwards is going to catch one more. I think that was Labonte, so he's going to catch Jeff Green before the end of the race yet. 4 to go. 3.1 seconds off the lead is Gordon and Biffle right now. Biffle trying to get Jeff Gordon to run that bottom lane. But Gordon not doing it. He'll run the middle. Turns 1 and 2. Biffle losing the 24 just a little bit, though. But yeah, Stewart has won the first 2 Daytona races, too. This will be the 3rd win of the year for Carl Edwards. We're going to try to get team orders here to bring Edwards back. I don't know that it's even going to work with him being in the lead. Gordon and Biffle trying to work together. 3 laps to go at Daytona. Edwards has not caught the lap car. Two cars are faster than one. But Gordon running the outside is not the shortest way around. Two to go at the line, this time by Biffle lifting, trying to keep it off the wall. Can he stay with Gordon in the middle of 3 and 4 as Biffle had to run the top to try to stay with him in the first place. And Edwards is catching up to one of the slow cars. Edwards and Biffle are closing in, or Biffle and Gordon closing in on Edwards. 2 to go. 2 laps left at Daytona into turns 1 and 2. Edwards is caught behind Jeff Green. Biffle to the inside of Jeff Gordon. Oh, Jeff Green's in the way! Oh my gosh. Biffle clears everybody off of the corner. Is he close enough to Carl Edwards? He is. He's trying to reel him in as he'll be coming to the white flag. Final lap. And no cautions on the final lap as Biffle will get to the inside of the 99. To the lead goes Biffle, white flag, 1 lap to go. Oh my gosh. Gordon closing. Biffle a little arrow loose with the 99 behind him. Half a lap left. Car blowing a motor on the bottom of the racetrack. It's Joe Nemechek. Tough break. He led a lot of laps today. Do you believe in miracles? Greg Biffle off turn 4 will hold off his teammate and points leader Carl Edwards to win at Daytona. No more 04. 15th time is the charm, and Biffle has final. And I have finally won at Daytona on an EA Sports Cup Series race. Oh my God. Thank you, Jeff Green and Terry Labonte, and thank you, Jeff Gordon, for allowing me to draft with you there towards the end until I had to hang you out to catch the 99. Oh my gosh. All weight has been lifted off my shoulders. We have been trying for over 2 years to win a cup race at Daytona on an EA Sports game, and we have finally done it. September of 2020, we ran the 2004 NASCAR Thunder 04 Daytona 500, which kickstarted the journey of these classic EA games. And finally, after over 2 years, we have done it. Oh, man. Clutch. Took the lead with 2 to go. Wow. That's awesome. 2 years in the making. It was worth it. It was worth it. 56 laps led. leading the most laps, winning the race. We earned it. We stayed in the top 10 the whole race. Lost the draft at times. We had about a 80-plus lap green flag run the entire second half of the race and went caution-free. Wow. Oh my gosh. I can't believe it. It feels like I won the Daytona 500. We still haven't won the 500 yet, but we won at least a race at Daytona. And in a clutch scenario where Edwards was the points leader, we're not going to gain many points on him and Sadler, but we did gain some points, and it's a max points day too. Started 10th, won the race. Oh, man. I've just been wanting to win at this track so long. And we finally did it. Where's the milk? Ah, that's Indy. We've won there a couple times. We just haven't won here. 2.5 hours. But that was I didn't think we were going to catch him. We caught him. I thought it might have been too late when I tried it. I think it would have been too late if he didn't get stuck behind Jeff Green. I don't think we would have caught him if he didn't catch Jeff Green there. Wow. My heart was pounding those last, like, 2.5 laps. It was pounding a little bit when we were losing Edwards in the first place. I'm like, oh no, we're going to lose again. And he's a points leader too. Unfortunately, with Edwards taking the lead, those were the only laps he led the entire race. So he did get 5 bonus points because of that, and finishes second. But Biffle gets his 12th win of the year. 5 cautions for 15 caution laps, 38 lead changes. I think we had probably 11 or 12 different leaders. 10th of a second margin of victory. That was it at the very end there. Average race speed, 153.12 miles per hour. We'll take a look at your top 10 as well as the rest of the finishing results. We'll take a look at the points. Greg Biffle, 56 laps led, gets the win. Edwards led 8, finished second. Jeff Gordon didn't lead a single lap, finished third. Elliott Sadler, he was at the back for pretty much the whole first half of the race, and then the second half he was up in front. He was contending. But Sadler led 11 laps. He finishes 4th. He led like 3 different times today. Kevin Harvick finishes 5th with 6 laps led. Dale Jr., who had one of the fastest cars in the field, qualified on the pole, led 13 laps, finished 6th. Took him over half the race to lead a lap. Ryan Newman finishes 7th. He led 12. Bobby Labonte led 6. He finishes 8th. Mike Bliss with a silent top 10 finishes in 9th. He got involved in 2 wrecks today. Still finished in the top 10. Matt Kenseth rounds out the top 10 and led 4 laps himself. Our other teammate, Mark Martin, led 38. Thought he blew a motor. He did not, but he was slow enough. They somehow fixed whatever the issue was there, but he ended up finishing 12th. Kurt Busch ends up 15th. He didn't lead a lap. He was caught up in the big one early. So all 5 Roush cars finished in the top 15 by the end of the race. And 1-2 finish for Roush Fenway Racing. I want to see how many different leaders we had. Because we had a lot. We might have had more than 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 12 different leaders, so I was counting correct. Travis Kvapil, Casey Mears, Michael Waltrip. Saw Joe Nemechek blow an engine coming to the checker. He had a great day. Qualified top 10, ran there most of the race, led some laps. Fortunately, blew a motor late, cost him a potential top 10 finish. Terry Labonte, Jeff Green, they were slow for almost the entire second half of the race, maybe a little more than that. Caught him a bunch of times, near accidents a bunch. We were 4 wide at one point with Kenseth trying to get through that mess, and he almost wrecked. Luckily, he didn't. Clipped the grass a little bit on the front stretch, kept the car straight. But, yeah, I can't believe we finally won. 37 cars finished on the lead lap. Everybody that finished on the lead lap, even with those. The second half of the race going caution-free, it's actually pretty impressive. And don't forget that pit road entry, that final green flag stop we took with about 34 laps left. I gained a lot of time coming into the pits and almost sped trying to do it, but luckily I met pit road speed. And I gained a lot of track position off of that. Clean stop by the pit crew all day, keeping me in the top 10 the whole race. Unbelievable. And we get to celebrate in victory lane. Wow. Kurt Busch coming to congratulate me. Of course, Elliott Sadler wasn't going to. Or not Elliott Sadler, Carl Edwards wasn't going to. 6 races to go. The Sharpie 500 Bristol Night Race will be the next race on the schedule. I think we'll be taking a week off with the Cup Series. We got more Busch and Truck Series racing still to catch up, plus some NASCAR 22 next week as well. So, probably going to be about a week and a half until we run this Bristol race. But when we do, the intense points battle will pick up once again. Man. Mark DeMarzi, Sports Crew Chief. Mark DeMarzi did keep that in my head the whole race. I didn't want to use it at the time, especially if I was getting air loose. And I thought I waited too long to use it, but we didn't. We moved up to third in points. And we have closed that gap by, I believe, 20 points over Carl Edwards today. Actually, 15. 15 points over Edwards. Better than nothing. Still over race worth of points out with 6 to go. It might be near must-win situations. We might have to win out the rest of the year. Carl Edwards, though, 52 points ahead of Sadler. Gordon's up to 4th after a top 5. 3rd place finish. I think everybody in the top 6 still has a shot at the title. Kenseth, who's in 7th now, 417 out after a top 10 today. I think that's where you draw the line. I think the top 6 still have a shot at the title, but everybody beyond that probably got to stick a fork in them. Because Kenseth's over 2 races out with just 6 to go, and there's a lot of drivers between him yet and Edwards. Man, Carl Edwards has had such a good season. 3rd straight win for Roush Fenway Racing. 2 wins in the last 3 races for Biffle. Carl Edwards with this with the 2nd place finish today, he's got 18 top 5s, 23 top 10s, and 2 wins this year. That's why he's leading the points. That's insane. He's actually got the 2nd most top 10s, 1 behind Sadler, but he's got the most top 5s over me by 1. So his finishes outside the top 10 that are costing me, his finishes outside the top 10 are a lot more consistent than mine. Mine are towards the back of the field. So I've DNF'd 6 times. He's probably DNF'd a couple, but that's been about it. I don't know. Who will have a cleaner second half of the season? We'll see. I really don't want to use that team strategy again. I really want to run this outright the rest of the year. I just wanted to win at Daytona so bad, and that was the best opportunity I've been in to win a Daytona race in the final couple laps. I was so frustrated earlier in the week when we didn't win in the Busch Series, and I have won a Busch race at Daytona, just not a Cup one. But this track has my number, but not tonight. Not the 500. Yeah, no more curse. Hey, a win is a win is a win in my book. I'll take it. That's going to end it. Hit the like button. How could you not? It was a great race, even if I didn't win. It was entertaining throughout. Just the fact that we did have a shot to break the curse all the way through the race. The fact that we had to lead 56 laps and just stay in the top 5 the whole race through cycling and pit stops. We took 4 tires every time because I didn't want to lose any grip, and that allowed me to have the grip at the end there. Even though there wasn't much, it was better than if I took 2 or no tires, which is what I would usually do, and that's probably why it didn't work. But I almost lost the draft. I did lose the draft a couple times. We had some help for sure. If it wasn't for the 2 slow cars on the track, I probably would have ended up anywhere between 2nd to 5th there at the finish. Wouldn't have had a shot at Edwards. But thanks for everybody tuning in. I'll see you guys tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Start Time. We'll be racing Busch Series at Homestead, and we'll try to get Kyle Busch at another win on the Busch Series season. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Have a good rest of your Monday evening, everybody. And we won Daytona, baby!